The sniper who picked off 11 targets in 3 days. Imagine being alone in a hostile land, surrounded by enemies on every side, with nothing but your rifle, your skill, and nerves of steel. For 3 days, one soldier became a ghost, a shadow that moved silently, unseen, yet deadly precise. 11 targets, 3 days, one sniper. What drove him to achieve the impossible, and how did he survive when the odds were stacked against him? This isn't just a story of skill, it's a story of patience, of courage, and of the kind of focus that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. From dawn until dusk, every decision meant life or death. Every shot had to count, and every heartbeat carried the weight of war. The world often remembers battles, tanks, and planes, but the quiet warriors, the ones who change the tide without fanfare, rarely make the headlines. Today, we shine a light on one of those unsung heroes. Before we dive in, think about this. What would it take for you to hold your ground under such pressure, knowing a single mistake could cost your life and the lives of those depending on you? In this story, the sniper wasn't just aiming at targets. He was aiming to protect his unit, to give them a chance to survive, to turn the impossible into a mission accomplished. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand not only how he picked off 11 targets in 3 days, but also what made him one of the deadliest and most disciplined marksmen in history. The sniper's story begins long before he ever set foot on the battlefield. Training, experience, and an almost obsessive attention to detail shaped him into a weapon in human form. Unlike many soldiers thrown into combat with basic instruction, he had honed his craft over years of practice, understanding the subtle science of ballistics, the art of camouflage, and the psychology of patience. Every movement, every breath, every heartbeat was calculated. When he arrived at the front, the situation was dire. His unit was facing relentless enemy assaults, outnumbered and under constant fire. Traditional tactics were failing. Artillery could only do so much, and sending more troops forward would have been a certain tragedy. The commanders realized they needed a solution that didn't rely on sheer numbers, something precise, something surgical. That's where he came in. On the first day of the 3-day operation, he found his vantage point, a ridge that overlooked the enemy's approach routes. From here, he could see targets emerge in the open, unaware of the danger that waited for them. But visibility was just one factor. The wind, the humidity, the angle of the sun, and even the slight vibration of the rifle had to be accounted for. One miscalculation and the shot would be wasted, alerting the enemy to his presence. He set up meticulously. His rifle, his lifeline, was cleaned, adjusted, and loaded with rounds chosen for maximum precision. Ammunition was limited, so every shot counted. He watched, waited, and studied the enemy's patterns. Soldiers moved in predictable ways, some more cautious, some more reckless, but each revealed a weakness, a tiny opening that he could exploit. Hours passed with no shots fired. Sweat trickled down his forehead, but he didn't move. Even his breathing had to be controlled. Any sudden intake of air could give away his position. And then it happened. A lone enemy soldier wandered into an exposed path, entirely unaware of the silent figure watching from above. The sniper exhaled slowly, lined up the shot, and fired. The first target went down, silently, efficiently, without panic spreading among the enemy ranks. That single shot set the tone for the next 3 days. The sniper became a phantom, a force that the enemy feared but couldn't see. Each engagement required him to relocate, to avoid detection, and to continuously adapt. The enemy began to suspect a presence, but they could not find him. He used natural cover, trees, rocks, the terrain itself, as an extension of his body, moving with the kind of precision that could only come from years of experience. He wasn't just shooting randomly. Each target was carefully chosen based on their threat level and the potential impact on his unit's survival. Officers, machine gunners, scouts, eliminating these individuals disrupted enemy operations, bought precious time, and reduced the risk for his comrades. This wasn't about ego or accolades. It was about survival, strategy, and the calculated application of lethal skill. Sleep and food were luxuries he couldn't afford. He survived on minimal rations, carefully rationed water, and sheer mental endurance. Every day was a test of willpower. Fatigue set in, but focus never wavered. Each moment of rest had to be brief, each movement deliberate. The line between hunter and hunted blurred, and yet he remained undetected, a shadow in a chaotic world. By the second day, the enemy was growing cautious. They started setting up observatio and posts, attempting to flush him out, but he adapted. He moved silently, repositioning to keep them guessing. The sniper knew the terrain intimately, using its contours to his advantage, and he employed deceptive tactics, creating false signs of his presence in one area while he operated in another. Every shot sent a ripple through the enemy ranks, but they could not pinpoint the source. The tension was constant. One misstep, one misjudged angle, and he could have been exposed. And yet, the sniper thrived under this pressure. His mind operated with the clarity of someone who had trained for this exact moment, someone who understood that success was measured in patience, precision, and persistence. As the third day arrived, he had already neutralized the majority of high-value targets, but he was far from done. The enemy was regrouping, attempting to advance and regain control. His unit depended on him more than ever. Each shot now carried the weight of life or death, not just for him, but for dozens of soldiers relying on his vigilance. When it was over, 11 enemy combatants had been taken down in just 3 days. 11 lives ended, but countless more saved. His unit survived because one man refused to waver, refused to compromise his focus, and refused to fail. The sniper did not seek glory, he only sought to fulfill his duty. And yet, for all his skill and heroism, he remained largely unknown. History often celebrates armies, generals, and large-scale victories, but the quiet precision of a single determined individual rarely makes the headlines. This soldier, the sniper who picked off 11 targets in 3 days, represents the extraordinary capability of humans when skill, training, and courage converge. The story of the sniper doesn't end with the tally of 11 targets. What made his feat remarkable wasn't just the numbers, but the method, the discipline, and the impact it had on the battlefield. Each calculated shot created a ripple effect. Enemy morale plummeted. Soldiers who had once advanced confidently now hesitated, second-guessing every move. Entire squads slowed their pace, constantly scanning for threats that remained invisible. He had become more than a soldier. He had become a specter haunting their movements. It's easy to underestimate the mental toll of sniper operations. From the outside, it might seem like waiting in a concealed position for hours at a time is simple, but every second demands absolute attention. A single lapse could compromise not just the sniper's safety, but the lives of an entire unit. Hunger, thirst, fatigue, and the emotional weight of taking lives all compound into a psychological pressure cooker. Yet he endured because he knew the stakes were too high to falter. His training was crucial in this endurance. Unlike many soldiers thrust into combat without specialized preparation, he had undergone rigorous instruction, mastering the fundamentals of marksmanship, camouflage, fieldcraft, and observation. He knew how to read the terrain, to anticipate enemy movement, and to exploit patterns of behavior. Every decision he made was informed by a deep understanding of both his environment and the human element of warfare. On the second day, the enemy adapted. They became aware that they were being targeted by someone exceptionally skilled. Patrols changed their routines, and soldiers began moving in smaller, unpredictable groups. Mines and traps were laid in areas where they thought the sniper might be hiding. Yet he remained one step ahead, using deception and adaptability to maintain his advantage. At times, he would fire a single shot from one location, then silently move to another, creating the illusion of multiple snipers. His mastery of stealth turned a dangerous engagement into a psychological battlefield. Precision wasn't just about hitting a target, it was about the timing of the shot. He calculated every angle, wind shift, and potential obstruction. At long ranges, even minor variables, breeze from a slight angle, the heat rising from the ground, or the enemy moving behind cover could affect the trajectory. Yet he adjusted for every factor, using a combination of skill, experience, and instinct to ensure the bullet found its mark. Each successful engagement reinforced the perception that an invisible force was dictating the battle. The sniper's role went beyond mere elimination. By removing key enemy personnel, he disrupted their communication, reduced their offensive effectiveness, and bought critical time for his own unit to maneuver, regroup, and prepare for counterattacks. Each shot was an act of strategic significance, a calculated intervention in a complex theater of war. He wasn't just surviving, he was shaping the outcome of the battlefield in real time. During lulls in action, he would observe, mapping the enemy's positions and anticipating potential movements. This wasn't passive waiting, it was active intelligence gathering. He noted patterns, habits, and vulnerabilities, storing them in his mind for later use. He became a living reconnaissance system, silently collecting data while remaining invisible. The enemy's attempts to counter him were often futile because he had anticipated their actions before they even occurred. The sniper also had to contend with the elements. Weather played a critical role in long-range shooting. A sudden gust of wind could throw off a shot, while heat shimmer could distort visibility. Rain or fog could obscure targets, forcing him to rely on intuition and prior observation. Nights were particularly challenging. He couldn't rely solely on sight. He had to estimate distances, adjust for shadows, and maintain stealth. The physical and mental discipline required to operate under such conditions cannot be overstated. Despite these challenges, he never wavered in his focus. Each shot was deliberate, each movement calculated. Unlike many soldiers who operate in chaotic circumstances, he exercised control over every aspect of his engagement. Patience became a weapon as potent as his rifle. Waiting hours, even days, for the perfect moment to strike was exhausting, yet he embraced it, knowing that haste would be fatal. By the end of the 3-day operation, his unit had gained a tactical advantage. Enemy formations were disorganized, command structures disrupted, and morale crushed. What might have been a devastating defeat turned into a strategic victory, all due to the precise interventions of one man. Yet when he returned to base, there was no fanfare, no medals immediately awarded, no parades. He remained modest, focused on the next mission, driven by duty rather than recognition. This is the paradox of heroes like him. Extraordinary feats often occur in silence. While generals plan large-scale maneuvers and entire battalions are recognized in history books, the individual acts of precision, courage, and patience can go unnoticed. And yet they're just as crucial, often more so, in determining the course of events. One soldier with the right training, mindset, and commitment can shift the balance of an entire engagement. Reflecting on his experience, it becomes clear that the sniper's success wasn't luck. It was the product of preparation, intelligence, adaptability, and an unbreakable will. In modern military studies, his operation is analyzed not for the body count, but for the methodology. Every movement, every shot, and every observation becomes a lesson in strategy, patience, and the effective use of limited resources. The 3 days of relentless engagement transformed him. He was no longer simply a soldier, he was a symbol of precision and determination. His story reminds us that heroism often exists in the quiet moments, away from the chaos of large-scale battles where focus, discipline, and courage converge to achieve the impossible. The aftermath of the 3-day sniper operation offers insight not only into his skill, but also into the broader context of warfare. Armies often rely on numbers, artillery, and logistics to determine outcomes. Yet, history repeatedly demonstrates that individual action, when executed with precision and timing, can have disproportionate effects. This sniper's actions serve as a case study in how a single, well-trained soldier can influence the movements of entire units and even the decisions of commanders. Communication lines are particularly vulnerable in warfare, and this sniper understood that disrupting them could be more valuable than simply targeting random soldiers. By eliminating key figures, officers, scouts, and machine gunners, he forced the enemy to operate in confusion. Orders were delayed, coordination faltered, and hesitation replaced initiative. A single well-placed shot could force an enemy to alter their strategy entirely, sometimes unknowingly falling into the very traps the sniper's unit had prepared. It's an invisible form of control, one that depends entirely on anticipation and understanding human behavior under stress. Survival was another crucial component of his success. Remaining concealed for hours, sometimes days, required mastery of camouflage and terrain. Unlike conventional soldiers moving openly, a sniper becomes part of the environment. He used natural cover, bushes, rocks, shadows, not merely as protection but as an extension of his strategic approach. He learned to move silently, avoiding dry twigs, loose gravel, or other sounds that could give away his position. Every minute spent observing, listening, and adjusting increased both his effectiveness and the danger of exposure. Yet it wasn't just physical skill that defined him. Psychological fortitude was equally vital. Witnessing the results of one's actions, especially lethal ones, can weigh heavily on the mind. Maintaining clarity under such pressure is a rare quality. He didn't allow fear, anger, or adrenaline to dictate his actions. Instead, he channeled every emotion into focus, creating a state of heightened awareness. His mind functioned like a finely tuned instrument, capable of responding instantly to changes in the battlefield while remaining calm and deliberate. The sniper's patience also shaped his decision-making. Impulsivity in combat can be fatal. Many soldiers have failed because they acted too quickly, seeking immediate gratification or responding without sufficient observation. This sniper understood that one precise, well-timed shot was more valuable than multiple hasty attempts. He would wait for the perfect alignment of target, distance, wind, and opportunity. Each successful engagement was a testament to restraint as much as skill. He also understood the human element. Soldiers are creatures of habit, and even under stress, they often repeat certain patterns. By observing the enemy carefully, he anticipated movements, exploiting predictable behaviors. This required acute attention to detail, the angle of approach, the rhythm of patrols, the way officers communicated commands. He became a silent observer, predicting actions before they happened. This blend of observation, analysis, and action is what separated an ordinary soldier from an extraordinary one. As the operation continued, his actions began to influence the broader strategy of his unit. Commanders could maneuver with greater confidence, knowing that the sniper was neutralizing critical threats. Reconnaissance teams could operate with less risk of being detected. Every shot fired wasn't just eliminating an enemy soldier, it was creating a safer and more effective environment for his comrades. The multiplier effect of his actions became clear. A single disciplined individual could enhance the capability of an entire group. Another important aspect was adaptability. The battlefield is never static. Terrain, weather, and enemy behavior all change unpredictably. The sniper had to adjust constantly, not only to maintain concealment, but to find new vantage points and angles of attack. Improvisation was as critical as preparation. He might have anticipated certain enemy movements, but when they deviated, he recalibrated instantly, repositioning himself without drawing attention. This fluidity allowed him to maintain the initiative, always keeping the enemy reacting rather than acting. The sniper's rifle, his primary tool, was an extension of his expertise. He knew every nuance of its function, the recoil, the trajectory, the optimal ranges, and the slightest mechanical variations that could affect accuracy. He maintained it meticulously, cleaning and checking it after every engagement. Equipment reliability was non-negotiable. A single malfunction could compromise not only the mission, but his life. His attention to detail and maintenance reflected the same discipline he applied to every shot he took. Despite the intensity of the operation, he also had to manage basic human needs. Hunger, thirst, and fatigue were constant challenges. Unlike soldiers on the move with supply lines and support, snipers often operate independently for extended periods. He rationed carefully, balancing energy requirements with the need to remain hidden and quiet. Sleep was minimal and often taken in short, strategic bursts. Physical endurance and mental resilience combined to allow him to remain effective in conditions that would have overwhelmed most people. By the final day, his effectiveness had reached a point where the enemy's morale was visibly shaken. Movements became tentative, patrols sporadic, and officers increasingly cautious. The psychological impact of an invisible adversary can be as powerful as any weapon. He had become not just a threat but a specter, someone who could strike anywhere at any time, leaving uncertainty and fear in his wake. The battlefield was no longer simply a physical space. It had become a domain dominated by his presence and skill. What makes this story enduring is the combination of precision, patience, and psychological influence. He didn't rely on brute force or overwhelming numbers. Instead, he leveraged intelligence, observation, and meticulous planning. His success underscores a principle often overlooked in warfare. Sometimes, the quiet, calculated actions of a single individual can achieve outcomes that conventional strategies cannot. Through these 3 days, the sniper's legacy was forged not only in the number of targets eliminated, but in the broader strategic effect of his actions. Entire units were guided indirectly by his decisions, and the enemy was forced into a defensive, reactive posture. The battlefield became a chessboard, and he was both the strategist and the most effective piece in play. When historians analyze this operation, they focus on the lessons it provides: the importance of observation, the value of patience, the psychological impact of precision, and the power of individual skill. It's a story of quiet heroism, discipline under pressure, and the ability of one person to influence events far beyond their immediate control. It's a testament to what preparation, focus, and courage can accomplish in even the most chaotic circumstances. Even beyond the tactical and operational impact, the story of this sniper highlights the human element in warfare. Wars are often remembered for their massive battles, for tanks, planes, and artillery barrages. Yet they are ultimately shaped by individuals, those who act with courage, insight, and determination in ways that defy the ordinary expectations of soldiers and commanders alike. In this case, the sniper's actions demonstrate that training, intelligence, and psychological acuity can rival the sheer force of numbers. The preparation leading up to such an operation cannot be overstated. The sniper's success was not a product of chance or luck. It was the result of meticulous planning and study. Before the mission, he had likely gathered intelligence about enemy routines, terrain layout, and potential choke points. Observation over days or even weeks provided a mental map of how the enemy moved, how they reacted to sounds, and how environmental conditions affected visibility and engagement opportunities. This forethought allowed him to anticipate outcomes rather than merely react to events as they unfolded. During combat, the ability to remain calm under extreme pressure was perhaps his most valuable asset. Many soldiers face panic, hesitation, or rushed decisions in the chaos of a firefight, often resulting in costly mistakes. This sniper, however, demonstrated extraordinary control over his physiological and psychological responses. He turned adrenaline into focus rather than letting it cloud his judgment. His heart rate, breathing, and muscle tension were likely managed consciously to ensure optimal stability and accuracy, even in moments when life and death hung by a thread. A crucial aspect of his skill set was the ability to blend into the environment seamlessly. Camouflage, both natural and improvised, was a cornerstone of his approach. He studied the colors, shadows, and textures around him to ensure that even the slightest movement wouldn't reveal his position. Over 3 days, this meant adjusting his hiding spots, changing positions with care, and maintaining an awareness of what the enemy could see or hear. Every detail mattered, from the angle of his rifle barrel to the rustle of his clothing, to avoid detection. Communication with his own unit was subtle yet essential. While snipers often operate independently, they rarely function in complete isolation. The sniper likely had methods to relay critical intelligence back to command or coordinate with nearby teams without compromising his concealment. This indirect influence magnified his impact. The enemy was disrupted, the sniper remained hidden, and his own forces could capitalize on the confusion he created. The result was a force multiplier effect, demonstrating that a single soldier can influence entire operations through precision and discretion. The role of equipment also played a critical part in his effectiveness. A sniper's rifle is an extension of the soldier's mind and body, and understanding its capabilities and limitations is vital. Factors such as bullet trajectory, wind, humidity, and even subtle variations in ammunition all affect accuracy. The sniper's mastery of these elements allowed him to calculate shots with near-perfect precision. He knew exactly how to account for environmental conditions, distance, and elevation to maximize lethality without revealing his position. This technical knowledge, combined with practical experience, created a deadly synergy. Beyond the immediate battlefield, his story resonates on a psychological level. Knowing that an unseen adversary is capable of striking at any moment changes the behavior of even the most disciplined troops. This element of unpredictability can slow advances, increase caution, and force commanders to divert resources to guard against an invisible threat. In essence, the sniper didn't just eliminate targets, he manipulated enemy behavior, turning fear and uncertainty into strategic advantages for his own side. The psychological resilience required for such a mission cannot be understated. Killing is inherently stressful, and the repeated exposure to lethal engagements can have long-term effects on mental health. The sniper had to maintain not only his physical stealth but also his emotional equilibrium. Each decision, whether to take a shot, remain hidden, or move to a new location, required weighing the risk to himself, the potential gain, and the impact on his mission. His ability to navigate these choices with clarity is what set him apart from ordinary soldiers. Adaptability was another defining trait. The battlefield is dynamic. No plan survives unchanged once combat begins. Enemy movements, terrain conditions, and weather fluctuations all create variables that must be addressed instantly. The sniper demonstrated remarkable flexibility, adjusting strategies mid-operation to maintain his advantage. If a position became compromised, he had alternative locations ready, balancing concealment, firing range, and observation. This ability to pivot in the face of unpredictability allowed him to remain effective over the extended 3-day period. Every sniper mission carries inherent risk, and the ability to mitigate danger through foresight and action is essential. Avoiding detection while maintaining effectiveness requires constant vigilance. Even a minor misstep, like leaving tracks making noise or misjudging sightlines, could lead to discovery and elimination. The sniper's success speaks to his discipline, his mastery of fieldcraft, and his understanding of the delicate balance between aggression and caution. The ripple effect of his actions extended beyond immediate tactical gains. By neutralizing key enemy personnel, he created opportunities for broader operational success. Units that might have been pinned down could maneuver, officers could execute plans with less interference, and morale among his own troops was likely boosted by the knowledge that a highly skilled sniper was controlling critical areas of the battlefield. The indirect benefits of his work amplified the effectiveness of his team far beyond what one soldier could normally achieve. This story also serves as a reminder of the importance of preparation and specialization in warfare. While most soldiers are trained to engage in general combat tasks, specialists like snipers demonstrate the extraordinary impact that targeted expertise can have. Through dedicated study, practice, and mental conditioning, they acquire skills that transform them into force multipliers. The sniper's ability to think like the enemy, remain invisible, and strike decisively made him a uniquely powerful asset. The sniper's experience over these 3 days illustrates a principle that extends beyond military applications. The combination of focus, discipline, patience, and intelligence can achieve results far exceeding initial expectations. By remaining calm under pressure, analyzing situations carefully, and executing actions with precision, individuals can influence outcomes in environments where most would falter. It's a lesson in human potential, resilience, and the power of deliberate action. As the operation concluded, the enemy's retreat or repositioning underscored the cumulative effect of his work. Entire battalions were forced to reconsider strategies, delay offensives, and expend resources guarding against unseen threats. Meanwhile, his unit could capitalize on the chaos, seizing ground, gathering intelligence, and advancing with confidence. This dual impact, disruption of the enemy and empowerment of allies, highlights the profound strategic significance of a well-executed sniper mission. The aftermath of the sniper's mission offers a powerful lens into both the operational and human dimensions of warfare. Once the immediate combat concluded, units had to assess the outcomes, tally the losses inflicted, and integrate the lessons learned. For his own unit, the sniper's success was a tangible morale booster. Soldiers knew that behind the scenes, a highly skilled individual had neutralized threats, allowing them to advance with greater safety. The psychological impact of this knowledge cannot be understated. Confidence in one's own capabilities is amplified when a dependable comrade is executing missions with surgical precision. However, recognition for such feats is often delayed or understated. The nature of sniper work is inherently secretive. The fewer people who know about it, the more effective it remains. Thus, many snipers operate without immediate public acknowledgement, their victories remaining invisible to the broader force or the outside world. Yet within military circles, the value of such contributions is understood deeply. Fellow soldiers, officers, and commanders recognize the difference a single operative can make. And even without widespread acclaim, this acknowledgement validates years of training, personal sacrifice, and dedication. The sniper's approach also underscores a critical principle in warfare. Quality often outweighs quantity. While mass assaults, artillery barrages, and armored movements dominate conventional thinking, precision-focused actions can dramatically alter outcomes. By choosing targets carefully, exploiting environmental advantages, and maintaining operational secrecy, the sniper achieved disproportionate influence over the battlefield. This illustrates a timeless lesson applicable not only in combat but in strategic planning across any high-stakes scenario. Smart, calculated actions can produce results far exceeding what raw numbers alone might accomplish. An essential component of this success lies in mental resilience. Sustaining high levels of concentration over extended periods, 3 days in this case, requires extraordinary mental discipline. The sniper had to manage fatigue, hunger, stress, and environmental discomfort, all while remaining constantly alert to threats. Sleep deprivation, adverse weather, and the physical strain of maintaining hidden positions amplify cognitive demands, yet he persevered. This mental endurance exemplifies the fusion of human psychology and tactical expertise, where mindset becomes as critical as physical skill in achieving mission objectives. Fieldcraft, the art and science of operating undetected in hostile territory, was another cornerstone of his achievements. Every action, from laying down camouflage to selecting firing positions, had to account for the enemy's observational abilities. He likely used natural features such as foliage, terrain contours, and shadow lines to remain invisible. Even the minutest movement had to be calculated. A twitch of the hand, the glint of sunlight off a metal surface, or the sound of a boot on gravel could reveal his location. Mastery of these techniques demonstrates the depth of skill required to survive and thrive in such hostile conditions. Another factor contributing to his effectiveness was adaptability in the face of unpredictability. No 2 days on a battlefield are identical, and conditions can change in an instant. Enemy patrols might alter their paths, reinforcements could arrive unexpectedly, or weather could obscure visibility. The sniper's ability to reassess, adjust, and exploit these shifts was crucial. He did not operate on rigid plans. Instead, he combined preparation with flexibility, a hallmark of elite operators across all domains. Adaptability ensured that he could maintain dominance even as circumstances evolved, a trait that separates exceptional soldiers from the merely competent. The technical mastery of his rifle cannot be overlooked. Every sniper becomes intimately familiar with the mechanics of their weapon system, the nuances of recoil, barrel heating, trigger sensitivity, and ballistic behavior. For this sniper, each shot was the result of meticulous calculation, taking into account wind direction, distance, elevation, and environmental variables. Success depended on an almost instinctual understanding of these factors, honed through countless hours of practice and battlefield experience. This level of proficiency turns a rifle from a simple tool into an extension of the soldier's will, capable of precise and decisive action. Coordination with larger operational strategies amplified the impact of his work. Though a sniper can operate independently, their actions often support broader objectives. In this case, neutralizing 11 key targets over 3 days likely disrupted enemy supply lines, slowed offensive maneuvers, and created opportunities for Allied forces to maneuver more effectively. The ripple effects of such missions can be profound, with a single individual reshaping the operational landscape in ways that larger formations cannot anticipate. This underscores the asymmetric advantage that skilled specialists provide in warfare, where precision and timing can outweigh brute force. Beyond the battlefield, the sniper's story highlights a broader human narrative: the capacity for courage, patience, and ingenuity under extreme conditions. Facing constant danger, making life-and-death decisions, and maintaining composure over multiple days exemplifies the remarkable range of human capability. It also reminds us that history is shaped not only by the grand strategies of generals or the deployment of armies, but by the choices, skills, and perseverance of individuals operating at the edges of possibility. Their stories deserve recognition, for they illuminate the intersection of skill, willpower, and circumstance in ways that resonate far beyond any single conflict. Reflecting on the lessons of his mission, several principles emerge. First, preparation matters profoundly. The ability to anticipate, observe, and strategize lays the foundation for extraordinary outcomes. Second, mental discipline is as vital as technical skill. Staying focused, calm, and decisive under pressure can be the difference between success and failure. Third, adaptability enables individuals to thrive in dynamic and unpredictable environments. Fourth, precision-focused action can yield results far greater than massed effort alone. Together, these principles offer a blueprint not only for military excellence, but for any high-stakes endeavor where skill, strategy, and timing intersect. The sniper's experience also emphasizes the importance of subtlety and indirect influence. By operating largely unseen, he affected enemy behavior, disrupted operations, and created opportunities for his own forces. This indirect influence is a hallmark of effective leadership and strategic impact. The most potent forces are often those that are invisible, yet their effects resonate widely. The story reminds us that impact is not always measured by visibility, but by the consequences of action and the changes it induces in the surrounding environment. Finally, the human dimension. The stories, experiences, and sacrifices cannot be overlooked. Behind the statistics and tactical outcomes lies a person who endured extreme conditions, faced life-and-death decisions, and executed actions with precision and courage. Understanding this human dimension deepens appreciation for the complexities of warfare and the extraordinary capabilities that individuals can bring to bear when circumstances demand it. The sniper's tale, therefore, is both a tactical case study and a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. As the final day of his mission came to a close, the sniper faced not just the enemy but the quiet weight of his own endurance. 3 days of continuous focus, alertness, and action had taken its toll, yet the mission's completion marked a triumph of both skill and character. He had neutralized 11 key enemy targets, prevented countless potential casualties among his own unit, and in doing so, had shifted the operational balance in a critical sector of the battlefield. But the story of his success is not just a chronicle of precise shooting. It is a story of discipline, strategy, and human resilience that speaks to the very core of what it means to be a soldier. The immediate aftermath involved both reflection and debriefing. While sniper operations often leave minimal trace, reports would have been filed, intelligence analyzed, and the ripple effects of his work studied. Each target eliminated had a cascade of consequences. Enemy patrols redirected, reinforcements delayed, supply routes disrupted. In effect, a single individual armed with nothing more than a rifle and unmatched patience had executed a strategic impact comparable to entire battalions in traditional engagements. This highlights one of the enduring lessons of warfare. Effectiveness is not solely measured in numbers or firepower, but in precision, timing, and understanding of the environment. Yet beyond the tactical and operational impact lies the human story. Soldiers like this sniper endure conditions most of us cannot imagine. The physical strain of remaining motionless for hours, the psychological pressure of holding life-and-death decisions in their hands, and the mental fortitude required to function under constant threat. Every breath, every heartbeat, every micro-movement must be controlled. Every decision carries immediate consequence. The discipline required for such missions is extraordinary, reflecting a combination of natural talent, rigorous training, and unwavering commitment to duty. The sniper's actions also exemplify an often overlooked element of military history: the power of the individual. In wars defined by massive armies, heavy artillery, and armored divisions, it is easy to forget that single people acting with precision and skill can fundamentally alter the course of events. For 3 days, one man's focus, knowledge, and courage reshaped a battlefield, protected lives, and earned a place in the quiet history of heroism that rarely makes headlines. Stories like his remind us that behind every historical campaign are individuals whose actions, though sometimes invisible, carry consequences far beyond what can be measured on a map. In a broader sense, this story is a lesson for all of us about the potential of focus and perseverance. In any field, military or civilian, dedication to mastering a craft, the ability to remain patient under pressure, and the courage to act decisively in moments that matter can produce extraordinary outcomes. The sniper's mission shows that mastery and courage often operate in tandem, and that preparation and situational awareness are the keys to turning high-stakes challenges into success. It is a narrative not only of war, but of human capability at its highest level. As we reflect on his story, it is impossible to ignore the quiet courage involved. He was not seeking glory, medals, or public recognition. His mission required secrecy and subtlety. Success was measured not by applause, but by lives saved and objectives achieved. This is the hallmark of true heroism: action taken not for recognition, but for duty, for the people depending on you, and for the greater mission. His story embodies the principle that the most significant impacts are sometimes the least visible, yet their consequences reverberate far beyond immediate perception. There's also an emotional dimension that resonates through this tale. Soldiers, snipers included, carry with them the weight of every decision, every life taken, and every mission completed. The emotional resilience required to function in such conditions is extraordinary. By the end of his 3-day operation, he had not only accomplished a tactical objective, but had also demonstrated the profound strength of character that defines the finest members of any military force. His story reminds us that heroism is often quiet, steadfast, and deeply human, a combination of intellect, courage, and empathy under unimaginable pressure. In looking back, it becomes clear that this mission represents more than a tactical victory. It represents a masterclass in individual effectiveness, the art of patience, and the power of precision. Modern readers and viewers can draw lessons from it far beyond the battlefield: the importance of preparation, the value of discipline, the power of focus, and the impact of acting decisively in critical moments. While the enemy was neutralized and the mission objectives achieved, the broader takeaway is timeless: the extraordinary potential of a single determined individual to shape events, protect others, and leave a legacy that endures long after the immediate battle has ended. Now, as we close this chapter, let us remember that stories like these are the threads that weave together the fabric of military history. They remind us of the sacrifices made, the courage displayed, and the skills honed in moments that test the limits of human endurance. They show us that even in the chaos of war, precision, patience, and intelligence can tilt the scales in favor of life and success. And above all, they remind us that heroism often comes in forms we may never see, from people whose names might not be widely known, yet whose impact shapes history in profound ways. If this story of courage, skill, and resilience inspired you, there's a whole world of untold heroics waiting to be discovered. We dive into the stories of unsung heroes, extraordinary missions, and battlefield legends every week, so don't miss out. Hit the like button if you want more stories of valor, subscribe to our channel for weekly episodes, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a story of extraordinary courage. Share this video with friends who appreciate history, heroism, and the remarkable feats of individuals who changed the course of events with nothing more than skill, courage, and determination. And finally, comment below with your thoughts. If you were in his shoes, could you maintain that focus and courage for 3 days straight under constant threat? Let's hear your take, because the true legacy of heroes like this sniper is not just what they did, but the inspiration they give us to push beyond our limits, to stay calm under pressure, and to face challenges with intelligence and courage. His story is over in time, but its impact lives on in every life saved, every lesson learned, and every person inspired by the quiet heroism of a sniper who made the impossible look routine. Remember, history isn't just shaped by armies and generals. It's shaped by individuals willing to act with precision, patience, and unwavering courage.